Good evening, hello. Just sorting out my mic then. It's been one of those interesting, fun days taking the kids out, and they had a good time. And then it's a rush back to get ready for everything else as I add myself to Spotlight. There we go. Good evening, hello.
Hello,
Welcome,
everybody.
wherever you're watching from around the world, or good morning if it's early for you. And yeah, welcome. Tonight we're going to go over WordPress and Kadence. And we're going to show it, do an install and some setting ups and show everything for you. And Stephen says, greeting everyone. And it's good to see in the Zoom room, Andrew, Barry, and Lynn also. And if you're watching on the stream, in the description will be the option to come in to the Zoom room. I am going to go and look at the groups because sometimes we don't always go out in correctly, and if we're in one or two groups, then it's good to know, which we are. Great.
So just to recap, what we're doing here is we're starting from basic WordPress, and we're going to go into Kadence, and we're going to build websites in Kadence, and we're going to train on the difference in Kadence. So not everybody understands what those differences are, but we build Done For You Magic Themes strictly in Kadence Blocks because we found it's the best for SEO purposes as well as ease of use.
Yeah.
And that's why we decided we'd do this training series on it, because it's not only going to help the people with the Done For You Magic Themes that come pre-built with Kadence, but also others that are interested in looking at different ways to build websites other than Elementor, which has become, I'm going to say, heavy as a website builder. And then the others that are just, it's personal choice. But, you know, we found that building our mass page websites with Kadence Blocks was a blessing in disguise when it happened to us that Elementor kind of threw us a curveball with an update. And then we came back and rebuilt everything with Kadence Blocks. And that's all we're going to build now. We found our page speeds are twice as fast or better, as well as ease of use, like I said before.
Absolutely. So we're just giving anyone else a couple more minutes. If you watch on the live stream and you want to come into the Zoom room, in the description is the link to the Zoom room tonight. We're only going to answer questions in the Zoom room rather than monitoring all the social media channels, because we go out on so many. It's a lot to manage in one's training session. So got a question, pop into the Zoom room, nice and easy. Don't have to have your Michael camera on. You can put a comment in the chat.
Great point, Stephen, and good catch on that one, because people will post a question in a Facebook group that we're not looking at, because if we're looking at all the different groups that we work out live in, then we're not focused on what we're doing on the actual training. Yeah. So questions that come in, they feel like we're ignoring them, but in reality, come into the Zoom room, you can ask away.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't need your camera on, don't need your mic on. You could just pop a little question in the chat if you prefer. So let me share my screen, and then we'll crack on with tonight's training. Let's just get the right screen up, and hopefully you should all see a WordPress dashboard. Robert, just monitor if anyone else is trying to get into the
will do
into the room. It'll ask you to admit them if it comes up. Okay, so the first thing to do, we went through all the various settings of WordPress, and we've had people learning various stuff accordingly, and which is all good. So we're now going to come into appearance and themes. And I think, Tom, if you want to admit Don.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start off by adding the Kadence theme. And we come into add new themes. And I like to do a search for it. Sometimes it'll come straight up at the top. What's lovely about this is it's a totally free theme. We'll install it. And in fact, if you're someone who's not into building mass page websites like we are, this is a great theme to get an idea of how to build a very basic website. So I'm going to activate the plugin. And at the top here it says install Kadence starter templates. We're going to install that anyway. And this will give us some freebie themes to play around with. And before we start installing here, I want to come into plugins and I want to add a new plugin. And we're going to search for Kadence again. And we're looking for Kadence Blocks. Gutenberg Blocks by Kadence Blocks is the one we want up here. And we'll do the install. Both of these are totally free. And we're going to activate it as well.
Who likes free?
Yeah, put one in the chat if you like. if you like free, it's always good. You know, even this training's free, so it's like really good. So next we're going to come back to, now we want to come back and do an install of one of their templates. So we come back to appearance and themes, and we've got starter templates down here. And now we can have some fun. Anything with the word pro on, you need the pro version to install it. But they've got an awful lot of free ones, like best cleaning service. This one's another free one here. Decorate with your world with colors. So you can have a look down at all the free ones, anything that hasn't got pro on it pretty much. And you can also, at the top here, select free or pro out of the two of them. So we'll go free only. So now we can have a look up and down and go, well, what do I like the look of? You know, is there a particular theme I want to play around with? And let's have a look up and down and see if there's anything that I like, sort of like the look of that I'm going to play with today. They got so many free themes in here in the first place, which is really good. Like a SaaS digital agency type one. Well, this is being built on DFYmagicHost.com. So we'll keep that one in mind. That's a possible one, digital services. And I'm just going to have a look down and see if there's any others I like the look of. Real estate one, agency, yoga. I quite like the look of that digital services one. So we're going to click on that. And now you have the choice of installing a single page of a full site. In this demo, I'm going to do the full site, and you accept their policy terms. By the way, you don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. At least that's how it was before. Actually, still is. Let's skip and start imports. You can skip this and not subscribe to them. Subscribing to them, basically, they'll send you some offers out if you're ever interested in the pro version of Kadence.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're going to offer you the pro.
Yeah,
because pro is like everything else. It depends how much building you're going to do, but a lot of additional features are added into the pro.
And it's interesting as well. We've talked about Elementor before, and Elementor has been doing a very hard push at the moment for their online version of Elementor, their cloud version, where they supply the hosting and everything. And I really do believe that they're going down that route. I think in the future they'll stop supporting their plugins and they want everyone to move over to their platform. So that'll be interesting to watch that, how that develops. And I haven't tried the Elementor cloud version. I have tried the plugin version, and the site's been on the slow side. So we're now going to finish and view the site, and under construction mode is still enabled from the other week, but I'm not worried about that. So now we've got various pages already installed. Whether all of these, yeah, here we go. Pricing. This is quite a nice theme to build a hosting plan up, which is probably what we'll end up using for our hosting. So we can now come into this and we can edit any one of the pages. So we'll go to the home page, and now we're going to hit the edit button there. And this is the same as one of our themes. It's very nice and easy to edit. With our themes, you'll notice there'll be a lot of X fields and shortcodes and stuff on it, because we transfer all our content into an X field. And so, you know, there will be some on-page content. But the nice thing about this now is this is ready to roll. And we've got this headline here, which if we wanted to, it's already on a H1. So H tags are used when it comes to SEO. And so in this case, that's our heading 1 tag, and we can pick right the way down to heading 6 as we work through the site.
Stephen, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to.
No, go on.
Back up just a little bit so that we can understand what the block is and what you're looking at, so we can go in to edit the individual block, and then what our choices are in that block.
So the best way to show that would be probably to show a sort of a blank page and go through these. But I mean, this block here is a header block. So if we come back to WordPress a minute, and I'll create a blank page because it might be easier to show you in here. Just publish it. I
mean, shortcutting and bringing in a pre-built site is, we like the easy button, and everything that we do, we want to do easy. So we're showing you how you can go right into Kadence and grab one of their pre-done things to use for yourself to build a website. But in reality, you can build from scratch, from blank. But when you have other features and other blocks that you can use, and you just morph them into what you want the site to look like. But the basic building blocks of Kadence is what I feel at this point is good to know, so you guys can see what we'd have to do if we didn't have that starter template to work with.
Yeah. So in this case, there's a setting I do want to show you just before we move on to actually filling this in. So that's the page name. And if we come back to page on here, we've got all the usual features, and permalink will actually say what the page is going to be called. So test it'll be the domain name /test. And you can change this, but remember to update any other links throughout your site if you do so. Now, as a standard, it's got the featured image, which is what will show up in Google if you put a featured image in. And we've got allow comments or not on the page. And we can say, is this part of a parent page? Now, we'll come into parent pages on future training to explain how that sort of works. But at the moment, we'll leave that blank, you see. So we're now just going to come back up, because I want to show you this other setting in here. And the next tab along from the cog is the Kadence settings. And we can enable or disable a transparent header. We can do default for page title or disable. I disable it, because then the page title will not show up when you view the page. So where it says test, that won't show up. And then you can have the choice of, do you want it normal, narrow, full width, left bar, right side bar. And the bars on these, by the way, when you put them on, end up being the widgets on the website, which we briefly went into in previous training. I like the full width option on here, and I unboxed my site to make it even wider. And these are set to be responsive anyway, but we can also preview it in mobile mode afterwards under preview. So anyway, coming back to the page, let's go through some blocks. So the first thing I like to do is I like to look for a row. It's a bit like a sort of a column layout in Elementor. And so next we're going to say, what sort of layout do we want? Well, this could be a major header of some sort on this page only. And so we can say it's completely a full block, or we want to split it. So in this case, we'll just do a full block. And now we can click plus in here again. And now we can pick what we want to add. Whether you want to do a heading, so it's a text heading. And in this case, we'll leave it as heading. And there's a few options along here as we work on this. And this is your H tag. So we'd make it H1 for the page. We can make it bold if we like or not. And we can add a link, even though I wouldn't add a link to a header, to be honest. And the ultimate thing I like on here is to change the layout settings. So I want to align this in the center. We just select left, right, or center on there. If you unclick it, it moves back. So we've now got a heading in the middle there. And it also gives us some other options when we click in here. And let's find show more settings. And so what I did there to get back to it, I clicked on the three dots and I went show more settings. And we can then move on to working on the text size. So I can move this up to 24, 32, 40, and You can also on here change the appearance, so we can have bold. We can do that sort of lettering, make it look a bit different. Leave it like that. And
can you put a custom text size? Does it allow that?
Well, that's why I was actually searching for on here. And normally
maybe it's in advanced.
That's the anchor text, that is. Normally can we do this? Oh, there's the, oh, you click on this, look.
There you go. Okay.
I think they just done an update. There used to be a box below here.
Yep.
So you click on that, and now you can say, I can have it 48, please, or a bit larger, 55. And then we got the typography, so we can pick appearance. We can select in here. Let's find the right thing. Letter case. And there was an option, and I'm trying to remind myself where it is, that you could actually, maybe the default settings of the type of text, the font is what I was looking for. But they've moved that as well. Got font size, and we can change the text color, and we can have a background or not. I think I prefer it transparent personally. Looks a lot tidier. And we can align it more in the middle. Isn't that on this? It doesn't really, I don't think it makes a lot of difference on alignment. And I'm just trying to find the block where they've moved it to for the typography, the actual type of text.
Maybe it's in the page setting.
Down, featured image page. Block. Used to be here on the page, but I think there's a global setting. I will find out where that is on it now, because they seem to have moved it. That's always the thing when they update these things. But we've got the heading there now, and if we want to carry on down the page, we can put another row in. And now let's just say we want to do something like this. And now we got a choice now. We can put another heading in here, or we can do a paragraph. So I'm going to add a heading in here first of all and line it up in the center. H2 tag now. So this would be some other content. And let's just say this side, we want to add an image, and you can either type image in here. And the difference between these, you got image and you got gallery. So you can set more than one photo. We'll do image. We can upload, or we can see what's in the media library, and we can add an image accordingly. Go. This is again where you fill in all the alt text information to make it all SEO friendly. And now we've got heading in here with your text there. And now in the same section, we can go on the three dots, insert after, and we can now come in here and add a paragraph of text, line in the center. And you can do some fancy stuff with this as well, under page. And let's make sure I've got the right block. Let's find the right section I want in. Here we are. So under settings, and you can select the block area itself. And to do that, we click on here, and we can go to a section which is covering these two here. And now we can have some fun stuff with like the page margins. So we can say at the top, I want 55, I want to lower it down, which would make it 90. See how that comes out. And if we want to play around with the left and right margins, we can leave a bit of a gap at the bottom. And as you fill out content in here, it then lines up nicely. So if you want to move this up or down, that's where you go to. You select the section you're on. Let's say we just wanted the heading on its own. Then we can click on this. We can copy it in the first instance, remove paragraph. And now we can click on the three dots again and insert after, which will bring you in the same place. I don't want to put that in there a minute. Let's select the right block in here. So heading block, three dots, insert after, click plus, and now we can add another row layout. And in this case, we may want to now do something like this, where we can then add another headline, line up in the middle, and in here, we may want the paragraph there, and line that up in the center as well.
So the interesting part here, not to interrupt you, Stephen, but
yeah,
is you build. That's why it's called Kadence Blocks. You're building with the very basic block being a row, and then you're putting things inside of it. But when you start putting blocks inside of blocks inside of blocks, then it becomes, you can do more and you can do those features. But the issue is sometimes editing, you got to make sure you're in the right block that you want to edit.
Absolutely. So I put some text in here. We'll align it in the center. And I'll say, I've been building websites for 50 years, and it would have been from when I was born. It could be a miracle in itself. Right, let's align that, make sure that's aligned in the center. And we can now select the default size, or I can click on here and we can up it to something bigger. And in this case, I've made sure that's a H2 tag, because this is our H1 tag for the page. And as you just work your way down, I use an awful lot of H2 tags on my site, and then minor categories. I do H3s to H6. Most people go up to probably H4, to be really honest. So now we've done all of this. Now let's just say we want to do another section below. We can come back up here to the next, this one here, and this is the difference. That's the headline one, and this is the row layout. And we can just keep adding. So we can click on the three lines here, insert after, click the plus, find the row layout. And then once again, we can then say, well, okay, well, let's have one full block in here. And there's tons and tons of various features inside of here. We can browse them all. Dividers, nice little divider that you can insert, and we can do width, divider height, and you can change the color of the divider as well if you want it like a fancy blue. And it's just a case of the menus are all on this side to play around with. We can have dashed. We can make it a bit sort of thinner, but then make it the entire width. And that's then that section done. Now, say I wanted to show at the top here on these blocks as well. If we bring up this line here and we've got the header section, we can actually come back to where it says page. And if I find the right section here a minute, it's got to be on section. That's why. So section and block, and now we can have fun with the background settings. And we can either do a background color or an image. So let's just say we wanted it, I'll pick a different color to that. Let's pick a red color. So you can see you can very quickly play around with the various colors, or if you prefer, we can click here and we can select an image. We'll pick him for the moment. And we can move this up and down. So he's peeking at you. And so we've now got a background image. And if you want to make the image area wider, we go to page and margin, and we go margin. Let's find the right area here a minute. Line settings. That's all correct. Awesome. There was a way in here, and I'm trying to remember where it is myself now. Let's get the right section. That's the one. So I was on the wrong thing. You want to be on section for the header. And then when we include in here 55, it makes it wider. We can go 80. So you can actually have more of an area there, and then you can scroll back down and say, yeah, just want to move it more to like that or that. And so you can certainly play around with an awful lot of features within it. This does so much. It's an awful lot to go through in one evening. And that's why we'll do more and more over the coming weeks with this. But it gives you a rough idea of building up a page. And when you want to be super lazy with this.
Well, let's ask a question. How many people want to build everything from scratch? Put a one in the chat. I don't see a lot of ones, Stephen.
1.5. Sometimes Barry says.
But it's easier to alter something that's already built that you want to go towards than to start over. And that's what really makes the difference for us in building in Kadence Blocks. You take a sample and then you find something that you like or you don't like, and you change it to what you want it to be.
And I love this because you can come in here so easily, and we can pop in, you just click in place and type in some text. So, digital marketing.
Stephen, do me a favor. Take one of those blocks. Take the one with the images on it, the lower one.
One of these.
One lower. It had a colored image.
That one.
Take that entire block, copy it, and put it on your test page.
Right. And this is something which we love about Kadence Blocks in Elementor. And certainly, I'm sure in Divi, you have to export the page as a template or a particular section of it as a template. And what we love about this, if I want to take this now, I click on these three dots. So I've selected.
Take the entire row. That's what I meant.
That entire row, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're not, when you're on the entire row, it is highlighted all the way around. Once again, click on the three dots, and you can soon find out if you're on the right row or not. So we're going to take this entire section here, and we're going to click on the three dots, and I'm going to just click copy. You can duplicate it on the same page and move it about if you wanted to make a duplicate copy. We're just going to hit copy. We're now going to come back to WordPress. We're not going to do anything else to that page, and we're going to find our test page.
Stephen is in Kadence. Stephen's working in Kadence.
Yeah. So in Kadence now, let's say we want to put it below this part here, all right? And we're going to select this row layout section, which is part of the header. And we're now going to click on the three dots. I'm going to insert after. Now we've got the able to choose a block. But all I'm going to do is right click and hit paste. And there's your block. Now, what's cool about this, let's say I wanted to copy this from our domain dfymagichost.com to dfymagicthemes.com. You do exactly that. You click on the three dots, you hit copy, you go to your new domain name. As long as it's got Kadence Theme and blocks installed, then you paste it. Now, in Elementor, I certainly know in Elementor, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to save that block on its own, export it as a JSON file, go to your new site, set the page up with Elementor on, import the JSON file first, then add it to your page. This is just so super quick. This is on what we can do just by simply copying and pasting it where you want. Like I said, I'll show you on our test page the duplicate feature. And so that's just literally made a second copy of this.
Let me just say something real quick, because I'm going to ask you to do that. If you're working on a page and you're unfamiliar with where you want to go, but you like this particular block and you want to come and edit it into something that you want it to be different about, if you bring it into the page and then you duplicate it, work on the duplicate part until you get it right. Because if you screw up, you can just get rid of it. You can delete it and start again with another copy. And that saves you a lot of time. You can always go back to the original page, get it, copy it, and paste it back in. But when you're first starting out, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to delete a part that you wanted to keep. And sometimes it's hard to unwind. It's easier just to duplicate and start over again.
Now, I'm hoping this will work. It worked the other day when I tested it. We know that this is a section here with an image in, and that's a section with text in. If I want to swap them around the other way, I should be able to simply click and grab this section, lower it down. And I should be able to put it below here. I remember right. If not, we can swap it the other way. No. Then this is the way I did it last time. So we select the image. In fact, it's just moved the image over. Look. And now I can grab the text. And I should be able to bring it up here. Drag it into there. That's how we do it. So you can grab this as well by the 6 dots, drag it where you want it. And same with this text section here. Let's just find the right text section, which is that there. So it's the row layout section, which I want to drag under here. And boom, we've now swapped the entire section around the other way. And
Sarah,
now
what Stephen was doing, what we were duplicating was the one block.
Yeah.
So you have 2 blocks that are exactly the same. You can work in one, and the other one is your sample. If you screw up the one that you're working in, you just delete it and reduplicate the one that you want again, is all we were saying to make it easy.
Now, if you want to copy the entire page to a new page or even a different domain name, as long as it's got Kadence Blocks and Kadence Theme on, you're on the page. There's 3 little dots up here. You click on them. You do copy all content. Now, what I can do is I can open up a brand new page, click in the box here, paste in the content. And if I want to make this wider, we hit the little tab along by the cog and we go full width, unboxed. And now I've got a copy of the page I've just made, and I can now label this as test 2.
Right, so you can copy paste anywhere that you want as far as what you're trying to achieve in your building
Same site,
Same site, same page. You can just work on the duplicate right underneath the one you were looking at, make the changes. If they're all good and you're good to go, save that and get rid of the one above it. Maybe you can show them the add and delete portion of the block.
So if you want to get rid of a block, let's say okay, I'm happy with what I've done down here, but I now want to get rid of this version. So the best way to do that is click on the 3 lines at the top and click down until you find the right section. So that's not it there. Oh, here it is. And then what we can do now is click on the 3 dots there, and we can remove the row layout, get rid of it. Same as if you want to get rid of an image, you can either replace the image like this, open media library, select the image, and it's changed, or we want to remove it completely, always click on the 3 dots and remove the section you want to get rid of. Now, if you've done that, you go, oh, I don't want to do that. Most keyboards, you can do Control Z, or on an Apple Mac, it's Command Z, and it should have brought it back. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, there we go. You have to click in the box. So I'll do that again. So do delete, move image, click in the box there, and do Control Z, and it brings back the item you've deleted by mistake. Same as if I mess this up by mistake, I can do Control Z, and it undoes it. So it's a really nice, tidy editor to be playing around with and do changes to your site. It's really simple. It's as simple as point and click is literally what I call it.
To make it simplified, we can't cover everything in one training session because there's just too much. But if we give you the generalities, now, Stephen, two questions that we should answer. One is the global colors, because we touched on it and then we went away from it. And somebody wanted to know where you would change the global colors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the second one, if you would go back to the sample site that you started to play with and just take one page and copy it into your test page.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that in a moment. So I'm going to go into customize, appearance and customize. And we got color and fonts. And this is where your global colors are. So we go colors. And what's nice, if you set up global colors on a page, right, we can quite easily change the color. Let's see what happens when we change this color. So all the buttons change to red. That's what happens when we change this color. Let's try doing that. the hover has changed. These buttons, these colors do different things. We'll make that purple. So all the text has gone purple. Let's see what black does. And it's all down to how the theme is actually set up. So can you see that little icon changed up there? We just pull it to a different color.
And the text changed. The paragraph text.
Yeah. This is that's the paragraph. I thought it changed, but it didn't. So I was wrong on that. So that's the paragraph text, and we can then pick a slightly light green. Let's see what changes on this. Probably not seeing what's changing on that at the moment. Oh, here it is.
Probably the headers.
So these headers here have just changed, and it's all down to what you set up on the page as well. So we can now select a black for that. See if anything's gone black. Some of these won't be used. Some of these will be. So it's a case of playing around. Site background, we can play around with that as well. We can make it a really bright color. And if you don't have any images over the top, then that will change depending on how you got the site set up. And title above content, and it is just a case of sort of having to play around with the colors on and getting used to what you're using. And we can show more detail on colors when we come back in here. So let's come out here for a moment.
But it's really, from a long time ago, it's always best to get your global colors correct, and that way every page will have the same colors throughout the site. When you start doing non-global colors on an individual page, then one page will look different than the other pages. So having that knowledge of, we don't know what we don't know, now global colors can do the whole entire website. And if you're using a sample that came from Kadence or a website that's built in Kadence, then you can do this throughout. But there's a lot of settings, there's a lot of time behind the wheel, if you will, to learn how to drive Kadence. But the basic building blocks are where you start. That's why I asked Stephen just to go back to the basic page, because if you don't experience what the basic page is versus starting with something that's already pre-built, then you can't understand what it takes to get there. So all of our trainings are to make it so that you have the easiest way to build. That's what we want to do. And Done For You Magic Themes comes pre-built for you, but it's nice to know what the settings are in the future. If you change the blocks around, it is, as long as you're not changing X fields and syntax codes of the blocks, you're probably okay. But sizing and paddings and different things are going to change. Remember, all sites are built so that they're not only desktop, but they're mobile friendly at the same time. So you have to go back and be able to check those things against what you're changing to. And like Don said, defiers never make mistakes, but this is how we don't make mistakes. We duplicate things, fix it, and then get rid of what we don't want.
Yeah. So I've got an entire page here, which we obviously played around with the colors, and want to copy this entire page. You want me to go through that? Is that what you want me to do, Robert? Copy an entire page?
Yeah, just to take an example of not just copying a block, but copying an entire page.
So we come up here
and put it on your test page.
Copy all content. Come back to WordPress, and we'll come into here. We'll put it below here. So we're going to come down to the last set of content in here. Right, click on it, insert after. And in here now, I can do Control V, and it's all right click and paste. And as you can see now, we've got the entire home page below what we built earlier on.
So then you just delete whatever sections that you didn't want to be on that page, or you add in more that you wanted on that page. So you can take it a page at a time, a block at a time, a section at a time. It depends how far you want to go into the block, but you have to know where you are and where you're going to put it back in at.
Now, the last thing I want to go through tonight, and there's a lot of information taken in, is what if you want to do a header and footer on your site? You come into Appearance and Customize, And once we're in here, this is your header section. So we can click on it, we can hit edit, and we can play around with the various navigations. So this is the top line box here, and we can click plus, and we can add a HTML box in here, secondary navigation, a search box, or social. What's useful on Kadence is if you want to do a phone number, this is the only place an X field would work for a phone number. So in this case, we can click in here, and let's just hit this little cog button there a moment, and it says insert HTML here. And so for those that know Magic Page plugin, you could put TL square bracket, and that would work in here if you had Magic Page plugin installed. In this case, we haven't. So I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's all in it. If you want to make it centralized, you grab it and you drag it to the middle and you let go. And so that's if you try and put an X field in this section here, it doesn't always work. And it's very sort of bit with Elementor, bit fussy where you put X fields. And the reason it works up here is because it's HTML. It's a standard text editor. Anywhere where you've got the standard text editor, you can then play around with it and add X fields and bits and pieces like that with Magic Page plugin. So we've got that in there. You can edit
let me just
logo.
Sorry, let me just add something in there. For anybody watching the replay or doesn't understand what X fields are, in Magic Page plugin, an X field is where information is replicated through many pages in a build. If you don't have Magic Page plugin, you're not doing mass page websites, you're not putting X fields into your builds here. This is just Kadence training, but you also have to understand that we have people that are building with Magic Page plugin and other mass page builders. But the reality at the end of the day, it's all what you're doing. This training is about Kadence and how to get started building Kadence and Gutenberg websites in WordPress. And it's a lot to take in when you've never seen it before. But I was actually doing catching up on a video recording today when I was telling somebody about Kadence versus Elementor. And within a couple hours, he said he just loved Kadence compared to working in Elementor. So it's personal preference, but there was a lot gone over real quickly in that 45 minutes. But it's probably at some point here, we're going to wrap this up so you guys can take a breath and understand this is not a one-day training where you just got it all. It takes time to go through all of these different settings.
And we're going to build up this site slowly to become the DFY Magic Host website where we're going to offer hosting services. So we can build this up over the coming weeks for you guys. You can actually see us do a build without Magic Page plugin. And anyone who's watching this replay, we've also got available Magic Page plugin training. Reach out to myself and Robert on Facebook, or get inside one of our groups, search for DFY Magic Themes, or you can go to dfymagicthemes.com/FB for Facebook and join the group, ask in there, and we can give you the link back to the Magic Page plugin training if you end up being interested. So that's really what we want to come up with. The footer, by the way, I'll just quickly show that, and then we're going to finish up on that. The footer again is in here. You hit the edit pencil button, and all the footer content then loads up with what you want to edit. You can hit the little edit there, click got it, and this is sort of all the content they've added in here. So in here again, it's HTML. So we can put X field short codes, whatever we want in here, and it should normally work without a problem. And they're using code hit to pad it all out with spaces and alignment. This here will be a navigation menu. They called it product, and that we showed in the earlier training where to edit the navigation menus. And this will be probably another navigation menu called resources. And then, of course, last of all, we've got these are the things we accept, the credit cards we accept, and it will load all the content accordingly based on all this HTML text without us getting into it too much. hopefully that's all good. And what we're going to do now is stop sharing. And
so how many people got something out of that as far as what they didn't know you could do in Kadence tonight? Put a 1 in the chat.
Excellent, as always, Barry says. And if anybody wants to ask any questions off the back of this, well, we've got a few minutes. You're quite welcome to raise your hand, the virtual hand in the Zoom room. Those that are watching on the live stream, you're quite welcome to quickly hop in on the link that's in on the description. And we're going to build this up over the next few weeks on designing this site from scratch. And so we're going to be building and building and building to make this site look something like a web host company site. And then we'll offer the DFY magic hosting.
Oh, I just want to put a big warning for you guys also. If you're going to start making drastic changes to your global colors, here's an example. If you're going to go from a white-based background in the entire website, usually all the font text are going to be opposite color, like black or dark blue. So if you change the background to be black and you don't change the text that's black, well, you're not going to see the text.
No.
And it's hard to figure out what you did and why you can't see your text all of a sudden. But if you change your background to black and you have black text, it won't show. It's there, but you can't see it.
Yeah. And always do a backup using WP Vivid or all-in-one migration, one of those, before you start doing any edits. If you mess up, you can roll it back. So what I do, for example, I'll work on a page, and when I'm halfway down, I'm sort of happy, I'll do a backup. I'll save what I'm doing and I'll do a backup. And then I'll carry on working on the second half. Right. And when I've got the second half done, I'm happy. I do a save and a backup. And the reason being, a good example that happened to me a little while ago, I built a page out, forgot to do what I preach, which is what I normally do. And we had a power cut. And because I hadn't hit save, I'd lost the entire page just because of a power cut. Now, and I kicked myself and I went, well, only if I'd done half of it and clicked save and then did a backup as well on top, I would have lost that whole page. I had to rebuild it again. And time is valuable. So it's a case of you want to build, to do a section, update the page, do a backup of the site just to be on the safe side. And that way, then you've always got something to roll back to in the unlikely event that something goes wrong. It's also useful to, when you finish your site, do a backup and then download a copy to a local machine as well. So you've got that saved. Because we can't, in this digital age, I was once with a hosting company and I had, lucky enough, I had all my backups done, that suddenly decided to shut shop and go. Now, we're not doing that with ours. We've always got future plans in place. If we ever got to an age where we couldn't support the hosting, we've got people who will take it on if need be. So we've always got that in play. But you can never tell with some hosting companies out there. I'm trying to remember which one of them was called, but there's one I had all my sites on, and they just packed up and went overnight. But I was very lucky because I had all my sites backed up. So it didn't take long for me to restore them all. 35 sites, I think it was. I had to install WordPress from scratch, reroute them on the DNS settings and do all that, but it's all good. So if there's no questions, then thank you as always, guys. I know we've covered an awful lot there, and Robert's very good at pulling me back a few steps sometimes. And we'll continue next week with doing a build of one of the pages, probably the front page, and get some I'll show you how I get some content for that, and we'll keep building up from there. And thank you as always for coming on and supporting us. And if we don't speak to you guys before, we'll see you on the live for you on Friday night, where I've got some exciting things to share. But I'm not going to say anything more on that.
Just hold on for a minute, Sarah. Okay.
Yeah. Brilliant, guys. Thank you as always. You can all disappear. I'm going to end the live stream now, and we'll post the replay link, which has gone out of my head. I think it's DFY Magic Themes free training, I think, but I'll make sure I post in the groups.
Put Sarah in the waiting room.
No problem. And thank you as always. Let me end the live stream.
Thank you all, and we'll see you again next Sunday.
Yeah. And Sarah, if you just wait in the we'll put you in the waiting room while we end this, and